All right, take care, man.
Thanks for that. Thank you, Simon. Thank you, mate. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
So this car's covered 215,000 miles in 3 years, used as a taxi in Newcastle, and you would have probably seen it in a couple of videos already. However, thanks to the power of YouTube, the first owner of this car has been in contact, and so in my hand here I've got pretty much to the penny every single expenditure on this car. Tyres, wipers, fuel, what it's ever had in its lifetime, what's broken down, when's it not been good, what's not been right about it. I had a fascinating call with him, so a big thanks for him for getting back in touch with us. And so a couple of highlights from this, and I'm going to go through the pennies and pounds, and we'll bring it up as a table on the screen, I'm sure. A couple of highlights. Number one, this has never ever had any brake pads or disc change ever. And when we had a look at this in our inspection when we first got the car, we thought, well, actually the front pads must have been changed because they're in really good conditions. We thought, we know they do last a very long time. Obviously regen braking means you don't need to use the brakes much, but they're in such good condition. We had to assume they must have been changed quite recently. But no, these brake pads and discs have never been changed in 215,000 miles. That's when we got the car. It's actually on over 218,000 now because we're still using it every day. The other highlight, I think, was it's never had any paintwork. So a few stone chips along the front here, yes, but it's never had any paintwork, never had any glass change. That's the original windscreen. All the paintwork on this is original and nothing's been touched. The third thing, has it ever broken down? No, nothing ever. And the only problem the chap had with the car was a heater failure. The first week after buying it, the heater wasn't working. However, pulled to the side of the road, did a software update, heater fixed, never been a problem since. And that's it. Literally, that's it. Right, so I also had a fascinating conversation about tyres and any other maintenance, suspension, bushes and stuff like that. So I'm literally going to go for all of that with you now. So it's a bit geeky, but I think it's fascinating to know the exact full and true story of a 3-year-old car. Remember, this is only just over 3 years old now. In fact, let's start from the very beginning. This car, we tell this when we plugged it in, was born on the 13th of November 2021. That's when it came alive. It was in the factory, the software is installed, it came alive, and we got its birth date. It was first registered here at the end of December 2021. So we're filming this in March, so it's 3 years, 3 months old now, and now on over 218,000 miles. But this is up to 216,000 miles in this report here. So in the first week, the heater stopped, software update, fixed that, never been a problem since, no expense there. The original tyres, Michelin's, the chap said, only really actually got about 12,000 miles out of them. Since then, he's just used a budget tyre, a Rodex, and he does a rotation of them about half the way through their life so that he changes all 4 at once. And basically, every 32,000 miles, it's required a new set of tyres. He just got budget Rodex, summers for summer, winters for winter, costing £80 each. So I'm allowing £320 for a set of tyres every 32,000 miles from this car after that first set. So interesting feedback on the Michelin's there. Obviously Michelin's go way further than that, but he said they didn't last very long at all. The Rodex much further. Okay, about 100,000 miles. First thing, wiper blades, had them changed, plus had a cabin filter change. So £28 for wiper blades, £17 for cabin filters. Done. 100,000 miles before anything. Pretty good, apart from obviously a couple of sets of tyres. Then we've got more tyres. At 140,000 miles, he had the front suspension sort of overhauled. Went into Tesla, and as we've covered before, the front suspension bushes are pretty much a known thing on the Model 3. One of the only things that really does need maintaining, but the bushes can go dry or foul. You get squeaky suspension, so you need to change your bushes on the front. Now, he actually had that done at Tesla and it cost £1,400. Now, these suspension arms are available from Tesla or aftermarket. And either way, they're only actually quite cheap parts. The whole arm's 70 odd pounds. So you can actually have this work done much cheaper. But this was done at Tesla. He took it to Tesla for that. And that was the only time this car's been to Tesla. That's it. So that was 140,000 miles and it cost £1,400. They haven't been changed since. As the car sits now on 218,000 miles, it is still on those replaced front bushes. So a couple more sets of tyres over time, and then about 200,000 miles, a second set of wiper blades, £28. Then the 12th of February 2025 is when we bought the car, 215,500 miles in it. So that's when he had the car for 3 years and had to hand it back. He said he'd never kept a car so long. Now, this chap uses it as a taxi based in the Newcastle area, and he's been doing that for a number of years. I think it's over 10 years. Before this, he's had Mercedes, BMW, And running this, he said when he got it, it's just fantastic. It saves him over £1,000 a week just in fuel alone. And then he was changing oil every 6 weeks when he had a Mercedes and a BMW before this. And he's been so pleased with this car that, guess what? His replacement is another Tesla Model 3, one of the newer Highland ones. And that one, he's just gone for a standard range. It does a job. So he was telling us that he's charged this to basically 80% nearly all the time overnight, and it's cheap home electricity. Would use it during the day for his taxi work, and that would see him through. Would do the occasional supercharge if he had a longer trip or a longer shift, but actually its range for being a taxi was enough in your mainly city based. But he said this has just literally been a taxi. People getting in and out of this car all the time, all day long, every single day for 3 years. So when we've shown you the condition of the back seats, that's seagulls noise, isn't it? There's also seagulls are deposited there a bit on the car. When you see the condition of the back seats, they've been got in and out of all day, every day, and they're in really good shape still. So a very impressive car, and he's been very impressed with it. Right, let's come on with the maintenance bit for the second, and I'm going to come on to those running costs a bit more in terms of the charging. Then when we got the car, we had to have a rear suspension bush changed as well, and now that cost us £220 to have that done, including the part and the labour and fitting. So and that's then as this car stands today. We've got a spare set of pads and discs ready to go on it when it needs it, but honestly it's been going for ages. It drives perfectly. We still use it day in, day out, and we're now actually over 218,000 miles. Okay, so if we just total that up for the minute, the tyres alone for 215,000 miles worth of tyres has cost a total of 2,200 quid. That's one of the main expenses really. If we exclude the tyres, then we've got £1,693 has been spent, and that's actually because those front bushes were done at Tesla and you could have them done much cheaper, so it could be a fraction of that. So in terms of maintenance, God, the savings when you're not doing oil changes, cam belts, water pumps, clutches, gearboxes, all that sort of stuff is phenomenal. So let's get on to the charging costs. So he said that most of the time he can just charge overnight. He pays 7 pence per kilowatt hour overnight of Octopus. And now when we plugged it in when we got the car, we could tell exactly how much AC charging had gone into the car. Bearing in mind this was at 216,000 miles, or 215,922 if you want to be precise. Let's be precise, keep everyone happy. And we know that this had 47,409 kilowatt hours of AC put into the car from AC charging. The computer told us that. Now that's not just all driving, because you're sat in the car waiting for a fare, you've got energy being used, keeping heating and cabin cool and all that kind of stuff. So there will be losses, but that's literally what has been put into the car from a charger. So that was most of the running cost of this car, and that has cost a total of £3,318.63. That's it. Now, of course, sometimes doing longer trips, there is a bit of DC charging, so let's get on to that. Now, he did also tell us, by the way, the chap's from Poland originally, he's been to Poland in this car, he's done 150 miles per hour on the Autobahn in this car, he's been to Holland 3 times, there are bikes on the roof, so not just working daily as a taxi, but been around Europe, this car as well. But obviously, then when you DC charge, it's a bit more expensive. We know this had 10,768 kilowatt hours of DC charging in its lifetime. Now, if we calculate that based on 39 pence per kilowatt hour, which is about the average that a Tesla supercharger would be, can be less, but I've taken that as a fairly generous average, I think, £4,199 in DC charging. So roughly speaking, we've got about £7,300 worth of charging costs, including the public fast charging. Most of it has been from home charging, which has only cost £3,300. And if you charge from home at that cheap overnight electric rate, every 10,000 miles is only costing about £150, roughly speaking. So it's very, very cheap when you just use your cheap overnight electric charging. So total expenditure, fuel and maintenance and tyres and wiper blades and everything for this car up to 216,000 miles, including what we did to it when we got it there. I'm including that as well, £11,451. And that's it, and that's as it sits today. And the tyres were still good when we got it. We've actually now changed over to a set of Hankook Flex Climate, thanks to Hankook for supplying these to us to test out. We're going to see how many miles we get out of these. Already done a couple of thousand already. They feel good on the road. But I think that's incredible. £11,451 in total running costs for 216,000 miles, and still going strong, still absolutely fine, still drives lovely. Now, let's say you had a 50 miles per gallon car, and by my calculations in the UK, even with a pretty efficient 50 miles per gallon average car, you would have spent something like £28,000 by now, if it was still running, just on fuel alone. That's it. Add up then the tyres, which they would all need as well, and then the servicing, the oil changes, the cam belts. Like this chap said, his cars before this was Mercedes E-Class, BMW 5 Series. Every 6 weeks he had to get the car in, do oil change, servicing and stuff like that. A huge amount of maintenance cost, and then often wouldn't last as long as 220,000 miles. So I know there's going to be comments from people saying, well, my car's on X amount, my car's on X amount. That's great, no problem, thank you. What would be interesting is somebody who's got a car with similar mileage, say 220, 30,000 miles, a petrol diesel. I've never run one to that mileage, but if you've got one and you know exactly how much it's cost you, write it down in the comments below. It'd be really interesting to compare that. So yeah, it would be interesting to read that. So I think it's fascinating. We've got also, when we plugged in, one last thing, the driving average efficiency we've got. Again, when you add up the DC AC charging, and then there's regen back into it as well. But anyway, just for driving average efficiency in its lifetime, 4.08 miles per kilowatt hour. We could also tell from plugging it in. Obviously it's used more energy from when it's just stationary and stuff like that. Right. I think there, I'm just checking, that's it in this car. So very cheap running costs and still going strong. Still drives perfectly today, no squeaks, no rattles, and the owner of that has only changed it because he had to at 3 years old, and has now got another Tesla Model 3. Interestingly, just a standard range. Doesn't actually need any more range than this. So hope that's been interesting, useful. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video soon. Take care.